All right, this is some absolute GOAT business right here.
I want some nasty. Are we having fun yet?
Okay, so I know you guys saw this viral video going all over the place on Twitter. Not really all over the place, okay? I think Spurs fans saw it. I don't know if the rest of the NBA world cared or saw this at all. But Popovich spending some time with Wembanyama. I believe that they're in France, okay? What's the drinking age for France? I'm not quite sure. I know when because I visited France, and I was 18 when I visited France, and I could drink, but I don't know if it's under that or... Hey, Alexa, what's the drinking age for France?
In France, the minimum age to purchase and consume alcohol is 18 years. However, there is no explicitly stated drinking age, which means that minors can drink alcohol with the consent of their parents or legal guardians. It is important to note that public consumption of alcohol by minors is illegal and subject to penalties.
Oh, okay. So, yeah. So you can drink basically at any age. Okay, you can only purchase it at 18. Okay, whatever. It's all good. But it looks like they're in a restaurant. We all know that if you're in a restaurant with Gregg Popovich, you're probably getting some wine, okay? Now, the reason why I wanted to go over this, because I did think this was cool. I love sightings of our coach and our players together no matter what. But this kind of just brought me back to a few instances that I recall in which, articles put out how important these team dinners actually are for Gregg Popovich and for the San Antonio Spurs. And I know that a lot of people, I don't want to say a lot. I don't want to just, overgeneralize, but there is a section of Spurs fans. If you're anywhere on the internet, there's a section of Spurs fans that aren't necessarily that hype about Popovich, whether it be political stuff, which is stupid to me for you to be upset about that, especially when it's about civil rights, but whatever, I digress. Or it's about how in the 90s he took over the job and they probably just didn't like him since then. They call him a narcissist, all these different things that I don't think is necessarily merited for Popovich. But I'm going to tell you this right now. These types of coaches, they don't just come around, okay? It's not these... he's a rarity. This type of coach is an absolute rarity. And he talks about how important these dinners are and how important it is to build up that camaraderie. But even more so, there's other players in particular that talked about this. So we got Danny Green here, and it says, this is from Danny Green. Dinners helped us have a better understanding of each individual person, which brings us closer to each other and on the court understand each other better. And then Pau Gasol said, I haven't been a part of that anywhere else. And players know the importance of it as well and how important it is to Pop. Moving on from that, even Popovich talked about this. This is actually not that long ago. I think this is, it's right here. It was in January. He says, when you sit there at a meal, you learn a lot about the world. And he said, that's just logical camaraderie. I don't know where you're from, if you have children, if you have 3 women you're dating, or 3 men. I don't know anything about you. But when you sit there at a meal, when you have as many foreign guys as we've had over the years, you learn a lot about the world. You start to feel for somebody. You fall in love. You feel responsible. You want to do something for a teammate. It all builds over time. So those really small pieces is what makes a team special. I want people to understand how rare it is. Okay, it's not just the fact that we draft really well, which we do. You get the right character guys, but how rare it is to have a team that's been losing and not being the best. Okay, we're not that talented. Let's be honest. We need more talent on the team. But a team that's been losing how they've been losing and being as young as they are and not pointing the finger or it not looking weird. Go look at the Detroit Pistons, right? Like, they've lost games, plenty of games just like we have, but it's a different vibe with them. You watch the Detroit Pistons and there's this vibe of, I don't know, a little bit of animosity towards one another. It's really strange, and I know it's kind of hard to pick up on if you're not paying attention, but dude, it's not normal to lose the way you lose and everyone still be on the same page and you're not seeing too much craziness going on. Everyone still bought into the vision, bought into what the team is trying to do. It truly is the closest thing you can get to this, a family in the NBA. It's really tough. But hey, the Spurs have managed to do that. Also, I wanted to go over this. So this is Richard Jefferson talking about these dinners as well.
Wine dinners I've heard about. What was Pop like on the road?
Pop was amazing. So I think it all started back when like Pop was like, hey, if you guys ever see me out at dinner, like I'll buy you guys dinner. That was his thing. So these guys would figure out where he was going to dinner. And then they would go to dinner and like sit. They would, and again, Pop is a huge foodie wine guy. Yeah. And then with his coaches and all that stuff, he would just get them all together after in different towns and whatever, and they would just drink and eat forever. And Pop would go to one restaurant for appetizers, another restaurant for main courses, and another restaurant because they had this amazing tiramisu. That's the type of like schedule Pop is on. And all those guys are like, hey, you got to kiss the ring. He's the godfather. So like, yeah, it's intense. But as the team dinners, oh yeah, they're great. And no one wants to be the first one to get up. It's like, guys, we've been here for 2 hours and there's 25 of us and they're just crushing wine. Can we go?
The San Antonio wine.
But you love to see it. And yeah, like you said, Pop is a huge enophile. But also, one thing about Popovich too that I read, I don't know if it was in was it in this article? It is in this article. Okay, cool. Yeah, it is in this article. His tips are absolutely ridiculous. So if you guys were just curious, yes, he does leave a tip, but he doesn't leave a tip like we do, you know, maybe 10, 15, 20 bucks. $10,000. He will often leave $10,000 in tips for nothing meals, which means he just got some freaking wine and he's like, here's $10,000. Pretty cool stuff. But here's what Don Nelson had to say. He spent more on wine and dinners than my whole NBA salary. So great stuff there, man. I just wanted to bring that to your attention because I know that this seems like something small, which, you know, I guess in the big scheme of things, maybe it is, but these small things build up. And I think Popovich is a type of coach that we're just not going to get again. And it's going to be rare to have somebody close to this. So we really need to enjoy it while we can. And regardless of what happens, if Popovich stays for 2 or 3 more years and he decides to retire or whatever the outcome looks like, if he actually does hit 80 and he's like, all right, I'm out. If that happens, we still going to have to go back on what came before and at least give Popovich his flowers for the championship team that we're inevitably going to become. He's a huge part of that, gigantic part of that. But I'm hoping that if he does retire, you know, when his contract is over, that he at least goes into a different position and whoever comes after him, he has coached them up as well. So we'll be safe. But this type of stuff, man, you don't get this too often and you love to see it. All right. You love to see it. But anyways, I will get with you guys later, man. Until next time. Bye.